Hello and welcome back. We're already veering into March, which is crazy to think about that we're almost a fourth of the way done with 2025 already. I feel like the year has equally just started and is going by so incredibly fast that I blinked and we're in March. But I'm excited nonetheless because this month I have some big reading plans and I'm excited to see what I get from the jars to go along with these reading plans. I've had a really great reading year and I hope that this trend kind of continues. I should be putting out my February wrap-up sometime soon after you're seeing this video, but I wanted to get this one up first just so you can see what I'm planning on doing as we're moving forward with the year. Before we draw anything though, I just have to talk about what I'm for sure going to be reading. So at this time, I don't know what my book clubs are going to be reading just yet because I've either forgotten or we're meeting this week or I haven't checked. So those will be in the wrap up, or I'll make like a post on Instagram kind of showing which ones we're going to be doing. But I should know relatively soon what those books are going to be. But the main thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to be rereading the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins in March, and the goal specifically is to read these 3 books in the original trilogy before the prequel Sunrise on the Reaping comes out on the 18th. I'm hoping that I'll actually be able to do a reading vlog because I've had some ideas for it but just haven't had the time or the confidence, I should say, to make a reading vlog. But since I just love this series so much and so many other people enjoy this series, and I actually haven't read these books in a really long time. Like, I think I read Catching Fire when I was in high school, and other than that, like, I don't remember much other than what we've seen in the movies. So I'm really excited to revisit this series. I'm sure a lot of the themes will hit a lot closer to home now, and I'm just so excited to dive back into this world. I have tabs ready, I have my notebook ready. There may be another deep dive video because I'm just obsessed with this series, but this is for sure going to be read. Okay, so the scary part is always picking the challenge prompt from the jar. So let's see what we get this month. Could be something as simple as add a book to your TBR, or it could derail my entire reading plans for the month. So let's see what we get. Last month's prompt was I can only read backlist books, which was actually kind of helpful because I did get through a few things. But what do we have for March? I have to add a 500+ paged book to my TBR. Oh, okay, we can do that, that's fine. I will just put this to the side, I guess, for now. That won't be too bad. I mean, that's like a traditional fantasy-sized book. It could have been a lot worse. I know there's worse prompts in here. Okay, we can work with that. So this does not count for the 3 books that I'm pulling from the TBR jar then. It's time for the prompts. I'm gonna be really sad if I pull like a super long book out of here and then knowing I'm gonna have to add another big book to the list. Absolutely terrible. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm feeling this one. Okay. I got The Teller of Small Fortunes. Hold on a second. Okay, I put it over here. Usually things go on my fantasy shelf if they're fantasy, but this was actually the most recent book that I got. I got it in a blind date with the book, and literally the whole point of the backlist, or the jar, is to read books that have been on my shelf for a while, but it's like all books on my shelf, and I happened to pick this one up. So I guess I shouldn't complain too much because this is a 300-paged cozy fantasy book about, like, I think a thief and a fortune teller and another character, a unlikely group of friends, get together to solve like some kind of mystery about fortunes. I'm gonna read the back and let you know. Yes, so it's this fortune teller and an ex-convict mercenary type and a magical cat all getting together to find a lost child. So I was kind of right. It's a band of misfits getting together to solve a mystery, and the mystery is a lost child. But I love anything that has a magical cat. I am sat. I'm ready for this. So this will be a good palate cleanser between the Hunger Games and the 500-page book that I need to read too. But yeah, Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. It's time for the second book. I really try to mix it up as much as I can, because I know there are some like on the bottom and things too. Okay. This is the second one. Oh, good. Okay. I got Eliza and Her Monsters. I'm gonna go grab that. This actually worked out perfectly because Eliza and Her Monsters is one of the books that I put on my winter TBR. So it's perfect for that, but also because I've been meaning to read this book for literal years. I've had this book since I was actually a teenager, and I haven't read it yet. But Eliza and Her Monsters is a story where we're following our main character. Eliza, it's a young adult novel, and she is like an artist of this really, really cool and popular Webtoons comic, but everyone in her like school doesn't know that she's the one that draws it. She keeps it a secret. It's like her creative outlet basically. But then she meets a new boy that comes to her school, and I think his name is Wallace, and she finds out that he's actually a huge fan of the comic that she draws, and they kind of strike up a friendship between them. But I know a lot of the story, I think it has a lot of mental health representation, and I feel like the story is really going to resonate with me. It's probably something that my inner teen is going to be really sad that I didn't read while I was a teen, but I'm going to be glad that I read it still. And this book's not too long either. It seems pretty short because it's got like a lot of words like on the page, and it has like some of her drawings in the mix of it, which is really cool too. I'm sure I'll have to take some pictures like while I'm reading through, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this choice. Time for the third and final from the jar. Okay. We have this is a sharp turn. Ripe by Sarah Rosetter. This is so bad because I haven't even taken the sticker off of it yet, so hold on. I'm gonna take care of that before I start talking about it because it bothers me. I do love how cleanly the half-price stickers come off of books. So this book is not whimsical nor fun, nor a coming-of-age story. I've heard it's actually incredibly sad, but I am the type of brand who loves weird lit fic, especially about women, and I think this book falls into this category. So we're following a main character by the name of Cassie, and Cassie is kind of down on her luck. She's not having a good time because she is a couple years into this job that she thought was her dream job. It's no longer her dream job. Instead, she's incredibly burnt out, tired, doesn't want to do anything, losing motivation in life, and she's living paycheck to paycheck, trying to make up for the fact that everything is so expensive and she already has a terrible job. So she's just trying to figure out her life, and then something unexpected happens that makes it even more difficult for her to deal and cope with all of these things. I think that this will be a good book to read right now because I'm sort of trying to figure out what I want to do with my life and see what happens from there. But I've also heard that this book is incredibly sad. You have to be in the right headspace for it. So I'm hoping that I can go into it and learn a few things, not get too upset by reading it, but I'm very intrigued to see what this story has to talk about. These were the three from the jar. So we have Teller of Small Fortunes, we have Ripe, and we have Eliza and Her Monsters. So now we have to add the 500-paged book to the TBR. So I'll be back once I make that decision. So I couldn't decide on which one I wanted. So what I'm gonna do to give myself a little bit more flexibility is I'm gonna choose one of these three books once I'm ready to tackle the 500-page book. So I'll go over the three that I have here, but I'm not sure which one I'll officially be reading, but I'll need to read this and I'll kind of give my, like, why I picked it, why I'm hesitant to just go for this one, and go from there. First book we'll talk about is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and I've heard nothing but great things about this. It is a retelling of David Copperfield, but instead we're following our main character by the name of Demon, and he lives in Appalachia, and it's all about poverty and addiction and lack of resources and kind of that lifestyle. So this is a really hard-hitting literary fiction novel, very different than the other two that I picked. So if I'm in the mood for like a literary fiction book that I can really sink my teeth into, then I'll pick this. Otherwise, the next two books I have are sequels. So I have The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy. And if you didn't know, The Poppy War was one of my favorite books of last year. It was probably my favorite fantasy book. It was my favorite fantasy book. I'll just say it certainly there. But this book is actually closer to 650 pages, whereas Demon Copperhead was like 512, so it's closer to that. But this is also just something I need to get to before I feel like I lose all of the memories that I have about the Poppy War. And this is a book that I was trying to read this winter too, and I had just gotten Demon Copperhead in a blind date with a book situation. So I feel like this one would be prioritized above that, but we'll see how I feel. And then the final one I might choose is Gathering of Shadows, because I did reread A Darker Shade of Magic last year because I have not finished the trilogy yet, and I need to. That's the problem. And I'm hoping I would remember enough about the story to dive right into this one too. It's one of those cases where I probably need to get to it before I forget as well, and I've had this book longer than I've had the other two, so I feel like this one is probably going to be the one that I choose. But we'll see. It's like right on the edge of like 509 pages. So I think tentatively it's going to be this one, but I might slip in the other two. We'll see. This is the tentative TBR for March. I'll for sure be reading the Hunger Games trilogy, and then whatever I can get to after that. I've been doing really good with these challenges so far. I feel like it does offer enough flexibility for me while holding me accountable, and then making time for some rereads too. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I'll link my social media handles and other things you can reach me on in the description below. I'll just say again, my friend and I have a Webtoons comic called Tales of Grandeur. If you're interested in reading that at all, or you know someone who really loves graphic novels, we would really appreciate more support on that platform, especially as we're developing further chapters. But it's slow going because being an adult and prioritizing reading and other hobbies is really difficult sometimes. Nonetheless, thank you for being here. I hope to see you in the next video. Comment below what you're gonna read in March, and I'll see you next time. Bye!